It's no secret that it was Queen Elizabeth herself who called all the shots in the royal household. It all went exactly as she wanted. These included big decisions and small ones, but when you're a royal and your every move is being watched, it's probably best to have everything pre-approved. Today, we're going to look at what's the one that the Queen banned Prince William from doing. So, let's get into it. First up, this ban actually came on the prince's wedding day. You would think that the heir to the British throne would actually get his way on one of the biggest days of his life. His marriage to Kate Middleton was one of the most watched television events in the modern era, so obviously everything had to be just perfect. Talking to journalist Robert Hardman, he revealed that he was actually forbidden from choosing his own outfit for his big day. Even though he wanted to pick his own suit, the late Queen decided exactly what he was going to wear. When he told his grandmother what he wanted to wear, the response was an absolute no, and he was told exactly what he was going to wear. He admitted that the two of them discussed the situation, but he knew better than to argue with his grandma. She was actually more forgiving about the other wedding details, but not about his wardrobe. Let's look at what the prince wanted to wear and what the Queen forced him to wear. Actually, the two weren't too far in terms of what the wedding suit would be like, just off by a few shades, but within the same look. The heir to the throne wanted to wear his Irish Guards frock coat. This is the one he had worn at his previous royal engagements. This was a black coat with a burgundy sash around the waist. Pretty smart, in our humble opinion. The Queen, on the other hand, picked something much brighter for her first grandson, and now the look has become pretty unforgettable. It was still an Irish Guards uniform, but this one's reflected his military rank of colonel, a bright red tunic with a bright blue sash. To be honest, most people were more concerned with what the princess was going to be wearing, as opposed to the prince. And no doubt, Middleton was a stunner, and a custom design by Sarah Burton, who was at the time the creative director of the luxury brand Alexander McQueen. Up next, the royal couple was allowed some liberties for their nuptials. You would imagine that if William couldn't choose his own clothes, he probably wouldn't be allowed to decide anything else either. But Queen Elizabeth did allow her beloved grandson something that's never happened before. The couple was allowed to have a say over who gets invited to their wedding. Initially, he was given a list of 777 guests who were invited to his wedding, and guess what? He didn't know a single one of them. So he called in some reinforcements, which happened to be none other than the Queen. She rubbished the list and told the couple to invite people who were important to them. She even advised them to start with their friends first. There was another thing that William and Kate were allowed to do for the first time ever. They had a best man and a maid of honor. Yep, it had never happened before for the royals. Can you imagine? The prince went with his younger brother, Prince Harry, while the princess went with her youngest sister, Pippa Middleton. Now, her dress was something that people talked about for a long time. Now, let's look at all the times when the late Queen Elizabeth showed us who's boss. First up, there's the fact that she was a queen for a staggering 70 years. This makes her the longest reigning monarch ever. She ascended to the throne at the age of 25 when her father, King George, passed away from illness. She inherited the crown at a tumultuous time and faced many a world crisis during her reign. Given that her ascension to the throne wasn't something that was expected, it's really something that she went on to become one of the iconic members of the British royal family of all times. Wars, scandals, natural disasters, and 15 prime ministers over 70 years is one hell of a career track record. And she did it all with so much grace. Now, that's a girl boss. Up next, she even served in the Second World War. Even before she became the Queen, she served as a truck mechanic and driver in the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service. It basically employed women in non-combat roles. She remains the only royal to have served her country in a war, and the only monarch from anywhere in the world to serve in World War II. Elizabeth was also the first female royal to serve in the military. She was promoted to the post of Honorary Junior Commander, which is the same as any Army captain, after she completed her 5 months of mandatory training. Not to mention her more recent exploit of jumping from a helicopter with James Bond. At least, that's what it looked like during the opening ceremony of the London 2012 Olympic Games. The Queen was a great sport and agreed to be part of the show put together by Danny Boyle. And what better representation of the United Kingdom than the Queen herself in James Bond? In the sequence that was shown at the ceremony, she is seen writing at her desk when 007 comes to take her to the venue. The two take a helicopter helicopter ride to the Olympic Park where they parachute into the venue. A few seconds later, she walked out into the stadium and took her seat beside Prince Philip. She later spoke about it, saying she did it for the laughs, and the country, of course. Let's take a look when she stood up for love. As queen, her first duty was always towards her country, but she was also a woman in love with the Prince of Greece and Denmark, Philip. The two met for the first time when she was just 8 years old. Their second meeting took place when she was 13, and he was 18 at the Royal Naval College in Dartmouth. Her parents wanted her to marry a respectable English duke, but she was pretty sure of what she wanted. The British royal family didn't really trust the exiled prince, and besides, he had no money. So it was a hard sell for Elizabeth, but she made it happen, and the two married in 1947. Even after all of that, she refused to take her husband's name after marriage and stuck with her royal family name of Windsor. Good for her! Up next, there was the time that she calmed down an intruder in her bedroom. Most of us probably remember this from the Netflix show, The Crown, but to be honest, they took some creative liberty here. In July 1982, Michael Fagan entered the Queen's bedroom after roaming the halls for some time. The Queen tried to alert the police and security, but to no avail. While all of this was happening, she actually had a conversation with the man and calmed him down. Now, that's a quick-thinking woman. Coming up, the time she took the Saudi king for a drive. Now, this incident low-key sounds like she wanted to prank the late king, Abdullah bin Abdulaziz. Now, we know that the Queen was a driver in World War II and continued to drive in her last years too. So, when the Arab royal visited her at Balmoral, she honored him by taking him on a ride in her Land Rover. How many can boast about being driven around by the Queen? She sped along the tiny lanes around the castle and showed off her military training. The king was literally shook. This was at a time when women in Saudi Arabia weren't even allowed to drive. Not to mention the time when she was shot at and didn't even budge. In 1981, during the Trooping of Color event, a teenage boy shot blanks right at the Queen as she was riding on horseback. Obviously, her entire entourage of police and guards went into panic. Someone had shot the Queen, and amid the commotion, she remained as cool as ice. She simply patted her horse and kept going, truly giving meaning to the phrase, "keep calm and carry on." Only a queen could do that. Lastly, there was a time when she rode an elephant on a tiger hunt. By the time, she was also the Queen of India when she first ascended to British throne. She went on a royal tour of the country in 1961. She rode an elephant more than once on a trip, but the one that really stands out was the time she was riding an elephant while on the hunt for a tiger. She even looked completely nonchalant as she went about her business surrounded by all that danger. What a woman! We'd love to see more of her decision-making in the new season of The Crown, although we're never really sure when it's true to reality and how much of it is embellished. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of Prince William's wedding look? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.